Father, thank you for being in our lives and in our hearts and saving and choosing us. Thank you for being with me every step of the way, even when I don't think you're there. And give me the ability to think through spirit, not of self, and carry your message, not my own. And just guide me and move my feet in your direction. In your name, amen. So what's up? I was talking to a old sponsor of mine today. Some stuff had happened. We didn't get into it the last time we did this. I was with my friend Christopher Martinez, and that's my boy, man. And we carry the message, and we do a lot of this work, man. It's an amazing thing to be a part of, And I'm glad that he's my brother. So anyway, as Chris and I was doing driving, what we didn't say, we're talking about service and stuff like that. And anyway, I was talking to my sponsor, and I said, "Hey, man, I was telling him about an incident that took place on our way to Savannah, Georgia, and as I was telling him about it, because God works through people and stuff like that, and it's beautiful. And I know if you've had an awakening and something that's happened in your life, and a lot of us had some awakenings, and some of us had some experiences, and I had an awakening, and I remember when I prayed, that's the same prayer that I told you guys about before, that same sincere, honest prayer of take Crystal and I'll do whatever you want, please talk to me, and then that guy, and it's amazing to be on the receiving end of something like that, where I have actually had a prayer answered, and it's just unbelievable. It's wow, you feel that. And although it's not as I don't know how to say it. It's not as intense, or it's not the same on the other end when someone else, let's say this. When I was stuck on military and the guy was next to me and he said, and I prayed that morning, God, I need to hear you. Please, speak to me. I need to hear you. And then I was stuck in traffic. I shared this story with you guys before and girls before. And with the guy next to me, the little Spanish dude, and he said, "Yo, man, Jesus loves you," is what he told me. And he was like, "Yo, man, hey, my man, I got a message for you." And I was like, "Man, what's this dude yelling at me for? I'm ready to smash this dude." And he said, "Man, God loves you, man." And I just broke up, and I mean a complete answer. Every time I pray with my heart, and it's a sincere, broken, I need you prayer, I get an answer, And I got an answer, but on the receiving end there's no comparison. It's so real and unbelievable, and you just feel the chosen. I don't know. Grace and mercy is all I can explain it as. And then, but on his end, he didn't feel what I felt, but he carried the message for God. And although God used him and spoke through him, right, it wasn't probably the same feeling for him as it was for me. And that's the experience that we experienced. But it was still an amazing feeling to be doing this work and knowing that we're in the right place. And we were driving as we left my house to go to Savannah. He seen a lady walking with her luggage. And this is just the other day. This is Saturday. And she had her broken luggage. And he said, "Yo, man, we're driving by, getting ready to hit 95. And he said, "Yo, man, I seen her yesterday or a couple of days ago out in front of my place of work where I am currently." And he was like, it was pouring down rain. She was just out there with an umbrella trying to stand under the tree. And I thought to myself, and I even asked my coworker, my coworker David, and he said, "She needs help." But he didn't stop. So we're driving on North Lake Gray, hit 95, and he sees her. And he told me the story, and I said, turn around. And we turn around, and we ask her, hey, do you need help? And she's like, yes. Yes. I've been walking for days. I said, where are you going? And she said, Milwaukee. We're in Florida. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to Savannah, so you got to go north anyway. You want to ride? She was like, yes. She gets in the car. She was like, I was just praying. We don't say nothing about who we are. We're spiritual people. No conversation whatsoever. You know, we're just like, I'm surprised she even got in the car because we look like some thugs, which we were at one point. And she wasn't nervous. Like her spirit told her, yes, I need help. She said, I just prayed. I've been praying. And I almost lost hope. And she said, I was telling God, like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. And I lost hope in you. And I don't know if I believe in you anymore and stuff like that. And then we pulled up. And she was like, I need help. She prayed for help. And we pulled up. For her, she's in the back of the truck. And now we're having a discussion. And we're having like a spiritual discussion and stuff like that. Now she's opening up, smile on her face, lit up, whole face lit up, and she's singing in the back, and it's kind of like Chris is kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. And I'm like, man, I'd be singing too if I was on that end. I love being on that end, but our end was kind of like, that's just what we do. Different service from the service we're talking about in the Word. Completely different service. That service that we do anyway, because that's just how we are today, and this is service that we must do. We must do. And we talked about was it Saturday about how to be effective and how we talked about some 1, 2, 3 stuff, and that's how we're really making an approach of talking about the mental twist and what precedes the first drink. Like, what happens to me when I'm sober? I'm completely clean. There's no drugs or alcohol in my system, and I convince myself with insane trivial excuses, the book says, to take the first one. You got experiences. We got great experiences of Fred. We got Jim, which is Ralph R. and Harry B., which is their real names. And then we also got our own experiences, and that's what we want to communicate to the new guy. And we also talked about how a lot of this stuff is outdated, but yet not ineffective or not insignificant. So, and we're talking about living by spiritual principles. So we're on page 93, second paragraph. 93, second paragraph. So when dealing with such a person who may be agnostic or an atheist, right? Or we agree, he might not agree with our conception of God. Whatever makes sense to him is fine. The main thing is that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself, and that he live by spiritual principles. And we're talking about an approach here, the first approach with our prospect, sponsee, whatever you want to call it. When dealing with such a person, you had better they were so cool with the language they use in this book. When dealing with such a person, you had better use everyday language to describe spiritual principles. You don't want to lose them. You better use everyday language to describe spiritual principles. There is no use arousing any prejudice, prejudgment he may have against certain theological terms and conceptions about which he may already be confused about. Give you an example. When I'm carrying a message, I don't tell people, even though the book does tell us whatever another person's conception of God makes little difference. It's just what we believe. But I don't tell people on a group setting 90% of the time that that guy next to me in the car that day that said, "Yo, my man, I got a message for you." I don't tell people that he said Jesus loves you. I tell people that he said God loves you. Same thing for me. However, it could, switch another person up, like, oh, I don't, whatever. Anyway. So, theological terms and conceptions about which he may already be confused. Don't raise such issues. No sense. No matter what your own convictions are, no matter how much you want to get him into your church. so to speak, if that's your plan, like we ain't doing all that. This isn't a religious program. We're not trying to get a person to do exactly what we do, exactly how we pray and stuff like that. It's a matter that they are to choose for themselves. But it is God. We are talking about the creator of all things. Choosing your own. I don't know where we got this misconception, because the book is very clear. I don't know where this new misconception came from misinformed people that tell people, oh yeah, choose whatever you want. Choose the doorknob. Choose a group of drunks, like come to the meet, like, you know, the book is clear, and it says God, creator, our creator, universal spirit, underlying in the totality of things. I mean, so many different descriptions, and it's not talking about an outside thing. So whatever your convictions are, just make sure it's God. The same thing we talked about in agnostics too. So your prospect may belong to a religious denomination. His religious education and training may be far superior to yours, and it could be. I'm not a religious dude. I'm just not. I don't go I go anywhere. I'll pray with anybody. I'll go to any church, synagogue, mosque, temple. Doesn't matter for me. Like I'm going for an experience, and I take what I want and I leave the rest, man. So in that case, he is going to wonder how you can add anything to what he already knows. But he will be curious to learn why. He will be curious to learn why his own convictions have not worked and why yours seem to work so well. Okay. Elephant in the room. There's priests in Alcoholics Anonymous that are members of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's pastors that are members of Alcoholics Anonymous, nuns, Bible study group guys. There's all different. There's freaking imams, any type of person. There's Buddhists. There's so many different people. I'm talking about preachers that are in Alcoholics Anonymous. I know several myself, you know, who gave it all. They learned God. They studied God, went to school, theologians and all that stuff, yet they have the alcoholic problem, and what they were doing didn't work well for them. It didn't work enough for them, you know. So they're wondering, like, hold on, I know this program's about God, but like I got a relationship with God, and I would say a conception and a relationship are a little bit different, you know. So is God enough? Absolutely, man. You know, but this program gives us an effective way to stay current with people, and people, you know, everyone. This is the whole thing is God. Everything, the creation is God, you know. So, how can he have any, or curious to learn how your own convictions did work? He may be an example of the truth that faith alone is insufficient. Faith without works is dead. Check this out. To be vital, faith must be accompanied by self. You can highlight all this. I'm sorry, I should have told you that. To be vital, strong language. Faith must, there's that word again, be accompanied by self-sacrifice and unselfish constructive action. Faith without works is dead, and so is works without faith. Let him see that you are not there to instruct him on religion. That's not what we do here. It's not what we do. People ask, you know, you let your spirit guide them. Like there's not many people that can say, I know exactly what Matt's thing is, you know. Admit that he probably knows more about it than you do. I can admit that to a ton of people. But call to his attention the fact that however deep his faith and knowledge, he could not have applied it, or he would not drink. I highlighted that too. Perhaps your story will help him see where he has failed in practice, where he has failed to practice the very precepts he knows so well. And that's the cool thing. oh, the cool thing is people that already are in tune and trying to build a relationship with God will already be like, oh, this is what I was missing. You know, I look, I thought hopelessness was like, I remember being like at the table and I had everything that I wanted right there, all the drugs I wanted, the women, my girlfriend with my girlfriend, and this all, everything was right there. And I remember just getting up and saying, this ain't working anymore. And I thought that was hopeless, where like the substance wasn't even having an effect on me anymore. It wasn't even providing any relief. But what was a bigger hopelessness was knowing that I had to connect. Knowing, been looking. It ain't no, listen, I've been looking. Every bit I did, every time I went to prison, I've been searching for that power like I felt when I was a juvenile. I've been searching for that power and couldn't connect. That was hopeless. I'd hear people sharing in a room talking about how they got God and stuff like that, and I'd be like, you know, how? What did they do? They did some work, man. So perhaps our story will tell them where they failed to practice their very precepts he knows so well. We represent, no, we're on page 94. We represent no particular faith or denomination. We just don't. If we did, we'd have stayed the Oxford group, which came from a Christian group. It was a religious group, you know? No. Be whatever, man. Just communicate with your creator, whatever that looks like to you. We are dealing only with general principles common to most denominations. We're dealing with general principles that are common to Islam, Judaism, Buddhists. I don't care what you come up, long as you ain't worshiping Satan or some crazy seance stuff. Like we all deal with the same principles in all of it. And it's crazy because like even every Christian religion got sects and different religions on different religions. That's, you know, it's just crazy. It's like too much. It's like, man, I believe in God, man. So, but we ain't getting into the point is we're not getting into this crazy conversation of religious stuff with the new man. Check this out. We are dealing only with general principles common to most denominations. Most of them have our general principles of the program. Let's be real about it, you know. You can't go wrong. We're like the general, you know, we're like the common of, you know, we can deal with anyone. I'll highlight this is important information. Outline the program of action. Explain how this is making our first approach to a sponsee or a new individual. Explaining how you made a self-appraisal, did some inventory, how you straightened out your past, some 9-step stuff, and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him. I must do this. I want to see you wake up, my man. I want to see you wake up. I want to see your eyes come on and you be a leader and functional and like the light to the community, man, to your family. The same person who was the black sheep. How I do this, and if I sponsor you and know, before I even say yes, I'll sponsor you, we have a conversation, you know. And a guy called me, hey man, listen, I got your number, man. That night I'm the guy from such and such. I need a sponsor. And I'll say, okay. And I'll break down what the program is. And I'll ask them, are you willing to go any length? And of course they all say yes. You know, even when they mean no, they say yes. And so I say, before you say yes, let me explain what any length looks like. So this is what I'm doing. I'm explaining what happened and explaining from my own perspective on what I did. We went through the book word for word, line by line. right? We broke down the first step, and this is what happened to me. My sponsor broke down the first step to me in a language I could understand about the physical part, the physical craving, the mental phenomenon, the allergy, the spiritual malady. We broke all that down, right? Where I understand even when I'm sober, I convince myself to take the first one, right? How the allergy makes me an alcoholic, not the behavior. We break all that down, then we go into step 2, where like I start to see at the end of step 1 and going into step 2 that no human power could help me. I've tried detoxes, therapy, counseling, rehabs. I've tried it all. I've tried medicines, having kids. I tried it all, and none of that stuff has worked for me. There is no human power. Therefore, what else do I got? I become at least willing, right? We make a couple decisions in the second step, and I'm at least willing, to have God in my life. And then on the third step, like I begin to want a relationship with that power, because that's the only power that can save me and help me. So of course I'm trying to build a relationship with that power. And then I go into inventory and I break down what inventory looks like and exactly what we do. I break it down in a brief way, but not super brief, and I tell them what inventory is about, and I talk about the desk and how I've been sitting behind the counter and rotten fruit, sour milk, and moldy bread and all that stuff, and I'm breaking it down in sex inventory and fear inventory and what that did for me. And then I tell them that me, you, and God are going to enter into the room if you choose to go any length. This is what it looks like after we do inventory, you, me, and we're going to invite God in the room, do your fifth step, and turn over every rock and every closet. We're going to open up and get through all that stuff and get it out. And then sixth step, we're going to see that selfishness and self-centeredness is the root. We move into 7 and letting God take that stuff, good and bad. And then we're eighth step, we already got. We start to make some face-to-face contact and making amends to these people. And then the same people that I thought I hated become my best friends, like my pop, who's on his way to Florida right now. And then like now I do some praying and meditating, man, and I go out and give it to other people. And you must give it to other people. Are you willing to do that? Is that something that you want to do? And before you answer, take a little while, man. And because a lot of people, you got to, me included, I came in here thinking that the only thing was go to meetings. I did. I thought that's what it was. I thought no one outlined. There was no outline. Outline, it says it right here, man. It says it right here on the first paragraph of 94. Outline the program of action explaining how you made a self-appraisal, how you straightened out your past, and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him. You might want to highlight that. It is important for him to realize that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital part in your own recovery. Actually, he may be helping you more than you are helping him. That's the truth of it. How I get good with the book and learning this stuff, and also being repetitive in my head and understanding it, and God reveals it. I stay open-minded, remaining teachable, and I take people through the work. People are like, how do you do that, like on the Facebook thing? How do you share like that? How do you say like that? And God, it ain't me. You think I had something to do with this, man? Are you everything I had to do with was like, took my ass to prison and like dead. I ain't had nothing to do with this, man. Like, how do you do that? Because I take people through the work. I don't sit around talking about I can't find a sponsee when there's a freaking whole room full of newcomers, And the cool thing is, like, remember I said this stuff isn't insignificant. So if you need someone to work with, you do have hospitals and rehabs to go to where you can look for a new prospect, because you can't get out the meetings if that's an excuse that you're having, which I would have used in the beginning as well. It is important for him to realize that your own attempt to pass this on plays a vital part in your own recovery. He might be helping you more than him, or you're helping him. Make it plain he is under no obligation to you. Man, you ain't gotta call me every day. This is the truth for me. You ain't gotta call me every day. I ask people to call me every day, not to check in. I ask them to call me every day because if I'm available and you're available, we'll meet. I don't care how many times a week it is. If you call me and I'm available, we'll meet. That's just what it is. And you're available, we'll meet. That's why I say call me every day, just because I'm all over the place, right? I go wherever God take me, and I don't know what my day looks like. Suggest, obligation to you, and that your hope only that he will try to help other alcoholics when he escapes his own difficulties. That is the bottom line. I will not even try to take someone through the work until they agree that they're going to go help other people through the work. That's it, man. You have to go and help other people, man. And I would love to see you wake up and helping other people escape daily reprieve, right? Daily escape from death. Suggest how important it is that we place the welfare of other people ahead of our own, ahead of his own. Make it clear that he is not under pressure, that he needn't see you again if he doesn't want to. And when I tell people what any length looks like and explain our program and outline the program of action that we have, a lot of people don't call back. They don't. Yeah, no, I ain't trying to do all that. I was just like trying to phase up in my halfway house. You know, I'll go to some meetings, but what you was talking about, and I won't get a call, and that's okay. Hopefully they'll call someone at some point and they'll do this work at some point. I'm not harmed about that. You should not be offended, right? Should not be offended if he wants to call it off, and I'm not. I don't get a call, and I don't call them, hey, man, did you make a decision? I told you, call me tomorrow and let me know if you decide to go any length, you know, and I don't get calls back. Most of the time, to be honest with you. You know, you should not be offended if he wants to call it off, for he has helped you more than you have helped him, and that's the bottom line of it. If your talk has been sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, I get it. You'll hear me say that a lot. I get it. You have perhaps made a friend. Bottom line, I'm not, when you see the person, hey, what's up, man? There ain't no like, yo, why didn't you call me? Like, there's all type of stuff that people do that is like outside the frame of what we're discussing here, you know? But God bless them, man, you know? I'm sure that it's been effective to someone, you know? I'm just telling you what the books say. I'm not saying your way's wrong. Well, I kind of am, because I'm going off out of the book, you know? If your talk has been sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, you have perhaps made a friend. Maybe you have disturbed him about the question of alcoholism. This is all to the good. It's all to the good. This is so important. This is vital for you to highlight and circle if you want. Put it in a different color or something. And this is powerful stuff. This is my story. It's probably your story too. The more hopeless he feels, the better. He will be more likely to follow your suggestions. When you're hopeless and you ain't got no other way to go, you become willing to follow some suggestions. Suggestions that I would never have followed before. I remember I spoke at a group down here called the Triangle Club, and it used to be my home group. And I spoke there, and afterwards, my sponsee runs up and doing like the outside thing in the meeting after the meeting, and hey man, how you doing or whatever. And one of my sponsees brings me a cup, one of the styrofoam cups, and it's got all these deep dark stuff on it. No one loves me. Nothing works for me. God doesn't exist. I mean, all this dark stuff. Right, on this cup, of how broken this kid is, whoever was on that cup. And when he had all that stuff on the cup, my sponsor gave it to me, and I looked at it and I read it, and I just smiled. And he was like, yo, what are you smiling about, dude? We gotta find that dude. And I was like, man, that's a good place to be, man. Sucks when you're there, but that's a freaking great place to be. That place is where I had to be what was necessary for me to freaking be likely to follow some suggestions. The more hopeless he feels, the better, because he has more likely to be following your suggestions at that point. Your candidate may give reasons why we need not follow all the program. Yeah, like I don't gotta do him. Like I'm amends. I don't even resentments. I don't even resent nobody. I don't get. I know some of the people that are watching this that have sponsored tons of people for a while. You've come across that person. Like I don't even resent nobody, man. I've run into a few. What resentment? I ain't mad at nobody, man. Like I don't, amends. I ain't even did nobody wrong. We can like skip over that part. He may rebel at the thought of a drastic house cleaning, right? Talking about inventory. He might rebel at the. I get that all the time. How many people we get that get in the inventory and you don't hear back from them? Or who get the 9 steps and do a couple and you don't hear back from them. They ain't carrying the message. They ain't going to helping others. It happens all the time. People always, I've had people stop before that, but 4 and 9, man, I don't understand. It's like so healing and beautiful. They look at it as a chore instead of like, I'm ready to go. Obviously, if you ain't ready to do 4, then some third step, first 1, 2, and 3 stuff wasn't that significant, or you were just shaking your head like, yeah, I agree, when we were answering questions, and oh yeah, just to like push through the work, which is cool, I guess, as long as you have an experience, because I guarantee you, which that happened to me, I did that too. And then afterwards, though, I knew where to go, and I knew that I had some slight experience with doing it, and I knew that if I did it better next time and more thorough, that I would probably have a more significant experience, which is exactly what happened to me. I've been through the work numerous amount of times. He may rebel at the thought of a drastic house cleaning, which requires discussion with other people. What? Do not contradict such views. Don't even contradict him, man. Tell him you once felt as he does, as I just did. But you doubt rather you would have made much progress had you not taken action. And that is the honest to God truth. I couldn't have done this without inventory. Couldn't have done this without the immense process. Wouldn't be here. On our first visit, tell him about the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is what I just described to you and how I tell them about the fellowship, because it's real easy for someone to think that the meetings are the fellowship. That's what the fellowship is about. If I came into a meeting, we forget that, and I forget what it's like to be a newcomer. I forget what it was like to be me, walking into a meeting and sitting there and watching. I have no idea what's going on. I definitely have no idea about any of this work. And I definitely had no recollection of anything I did in the past on this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I come here, I speak, everyone's sharing. I guess I do that, and I raise my hand and I speak. And obviously I talk a lot, and and I end up trying to carry a message, but I don't even know I'm not carrying the message because I don't know what the message is. And I think that Alcoholics Anonymous is about coming to meetings. The meetings is just an event. This is Alcoholics Anonymous. This is the program of action. This is Alcoholics Anonymous, Drug Addicts Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, being real, all the anonymous programs, not just AA, but I'm just saying what it says here, introducing the AA, because that's all that was done, but all of them are talking about this work. That's what all the programs is about. 12-step fellowship. And we go to 12-step fellowships and don't do the 12 steps. If he shows interest, lend him a copy of the book. Unless your friend wants to talk further about himself, do not wear out your welcome, man. Just hit and miss, man. This is what it is. Remember, right, with the things we found most effective was not some long, drawn out, what do you call them? Conversations, Give him a chance to think it over. Give him a chance, man. No, not no, I can tell you right now I'm willing to do that, and I've had people that say that. I can tell you right now I'm willing to go any length. And then still won't hear back from them. And before they even say that, I say, look, take a couple days, think about it, and then call me back. Give him a chance to think it over. If you do stay, let him or her steer the conversation in any direction they like. They want to start talking about swimming in the beach, man, let's go. Let's talk about swimming in the beach. Sometimes a new man is anxious to proceed at once. First day. Let's just start now. And you may be tempted to let him do so. Yeah, man, I agree. Let's go. Can we start today? You may be tempted to let him do so. This is sometimes a mistake. I have proceeded at once sometimes. This is sometimes a mistake. This hasn't happened to me. However, I know that it has happened to other people. This is sometimes a mistake. If he has trouble later, he is likely to say that you rushed him. You will be most successful with alcohol. Let me stop right there. You might want to underline that. He's going to say it might be a mistake. He's liable to say that you rushed him. Let me stop right there. That doesn't mean take your time. Take your time to do a step a year. I'm sorry. I'm just being real. This isn't talking about take your time, do a step a year. Like I came in, there's people like myself, and my sponsor when he approached me, I told him. And I was being real, and it's still the honest to God truth today, If you're going to tell me to read something for 30 days, or tell me to call you for 30 days, I will be dead, is what I told him. And I meant that with every fiber in my being. I'll be dead if you sit here and tell me to do. I need a solution. I need help. I was already, 1, 2, and 3 was kind of like already in the bag for me, although the explanation was immaculate, That taking your time doesn't mean like years, months, and don't start to work until whatever, for me. For everyone, actually, they was helping people 2 weeks, You will be most successful with alcoholics if you do not exhibit any passion or crusade or reform. You're just letting him steer it, Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. I'm better than you. Remember page 18, holier than thou attitudes. Look at me and you ain't nothing, you don't know what you're doing. You're never doing that, man. All you're doing is like being a light man and just trying to guide someone and knowing where they are. Don't forget. And it's real easy. And the book tells us, remember. And it's hard for me to remember sometimes where I came from. It's hard for me to remember what it was like in the beginning. It's hard for me to remember that stuff and how it was, how my thought process was and all that. So just know, when you're talking to them, like, I remember that. I felt like that too. And remember, humor is a good way to do this. And it even tells us, tell humorous stories, Offer him, never talk down to him. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection. Your demonstration of life, the book, how people live. Come with me, man. See how I live. Show him how they worked with you. Offer him friendship and fellowship. I underline this. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you will do anything to help. Sorry. If he is not interested in your solution, if he expects you to act as a banker or financial advisor for his difficulties or a nurse for his sprees. Yo, man, what's up, man? You ready to meet? Yeah, can you give me a ride? Like, I need a ride home from work. No, I can't. I've done it, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not here to be no one's personal trainer at the gym. I'm not here to take people back and forth to meetings and work. You need to like communicate with some people. I'll take you to a few meetings and get some numbers right. Obviously, be following some suggestions by now. So show him that they work for you. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you do anything to help. But we're not going to be this financial advisor or nurse for his sprees or any of that stuff. Check this out. Underline this. You may have to drop him until he changes his mind. It does tell me to let someone go. Might have to drop him until it changes his mind. Might have to say, yo, man, don't call me for that stuff no more. Unless you want some help with this, give me a call. Until then, I'll see you around, man. God bless you, but not ignorantly or arrogantly or any of that stuff. This he may do after he gets hurt some more. After he gets hurt some more, he might change his mind. That's how it was for me, If he is sincerely interested and wants to see you again, ask him to read this book in the interval. Cool thing is, we read the book to you, and most of the people down here that I know of will read the book to you. Yeah. Just come over. We'll start reading together. After doing that, he must decide for himself whether he wants to go on. He should not be pushed or prodded by you, his wife, or his friends. I gotta do this for my girl, man, or If he is to find God, the desire must come from within. I underline that and highlight it. Beautiful. It's got to come from within. Can't give him away, man. All we can do is exchange hands. If he thinks he can do the job in some other way or prefers some other spiritual approach, encourage him to follow his conscience. I always tell him, let me know. Yo, I think I'm going to try this other thing. All right, cool, man. Let me know how that works out. And not like ignorantly, I know how that works out, or none of that stuff. It's like, cool, man, try. I had to. How can us as taking people through the work be irresponsible enough to judge someone that has to try something else or isn't beaten or broken enough to enter into the program when we all had the same experience? How can you be mad at the prospect? You can't be mad at the new prospect for stuff like that, man. Let them find out, Hopefully and I know it's tough because we want people to get it. And the other thing is that we got this thing going on where people aren't making it back. And it's scary. But regardless, what is you trying to push it on someone been effective? Let it go and be at that. And you might trying to press a person might mess your chances up for when he does go and try some other stuff and decides that it doesn't work, that to call you again. You want to be open arms, man. Yeah, man, I'm here, man. No matter what, whatever you do, man, I love you anyway. And that's the truth, man. If he thinks he can do the job in some other way or prefers some other spiritual approach, man, go ahead, man. Follow his own conscience. We have no monopoly on God. We merely have an approach that works with us. You understand that? There's all type of people that aren't in Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step fellowships. There's not anybody. There's people there that there's people that aren't or never had any contact with the program that are spiritual people. Obviously, it's not you have to find God this way, For us, maybe, and that's how it worked for me. And if the person agrees that he's like you, then it might be the same with him. However, there are other people. But point out that we alcoholics have much in common and that you would like, in any case, no matter what, rather you call me or not, still want to be friendly, man, and let it go at that. Just let it go at that. Let me see where we at. I'm trying to get to this point. Oh, sorry. Oh. Oh, you can see me in the thing. What the heck happened here? Oh, there we go. Ha! Page 96. This is cool stuff. Do not be discouraged if your prospect does not respond at once. At once. Search out another alcoholic and try again. Search out another addict and alcoholic and try again. You are sure to find someone desperate enough to accept with eagerness what you have to offer. We find it, underline, highlight, special treatment right here. We find it a waste of time to keep chasing a man who cannot or will not work with you. Don't waste your time, man. You're burning up energy that can be useful to somebody else. If you leave such a person alone, leave him alone. If you leave such person alone, he may soon become convinced that he cannot recover by himself. To spend too much time on any one situation is to deny some other alcoholic or drug addict an opportunity to live and be happy. While you wasting your time chasing somebody talking about, I got a sponsee that I ain't spoke to in 6 months, but I keep trying to. So do you got a sponsee? Yeah. I ain't heard from him in 4 months though. No, you don't. You're not working with someone. Work with someone, man. This is an opportunity you will not want to miss. For us, taking people through the work. We ain't talking about just getting someone sober. We don't have that ability. You don't want to miss it though. Taking people through the work, man. You don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. To spend too much time on one alcoholic is an opportunity to live and be happy, man. One of our fellowship failed entirely with his first half dozen prospects. I failed with innumerable amounts of prospects. But did I fail? He often says that if he continued to work on them, he might have deprived many others who have since recovered from their chance. We're going to stop. Let me see where we at. We're going to stop here because we're getting into our second approach, and I'll just say the second approach for Saturday. So you can put on 96. Underline the first paragraph that we just ended on the second paragraph on 96. Suppose now you were making your second visit, so you can underline that, and that's where we'll be starting off on Saturday. So it's always an honor, man. We're coming to the end of the work, and I might shoot through a couple things that is real cool. Matter of fact, I'll do this now. We do have a little time, so I'll do this now. This is really cool stuff. So go to the wives. It's on page 104. To the wives on page 104. Actually, go to page 108. I'll take you through this real fast. This is cool. And the reason I'm doing this is because we just talked about the more hopeless a person, the better. The more hopeless a person is, the better. We're on page 108, very bottom of the page. We're talking about different types of husband, but as you'll hear, it's not really about a husband. It's about people, period, right? So, number one, right? Husband may be only a heavy drinker. Drinking may be constant or even be heavy only on certain occasions. Perhaps he spends too much money for liquor. It may be slowing him up mentally and physically, but he doesn't see it. Sometimes he is a source of embarrassment to your friends and him. or to you and your friends. He is positive he can handle his liquor. It does him no harm, and that he drinking is necessarily part of his business. He would probably be insulted if we're called an alcoholic. The world is full of people like him. Some will moderate and some will stop, and some will not. If those who keep on, a good number of these people that sound like this will be alcoholics after a while. Then we got husband number two. Number two, your husband is showing lack of control, for he is unable to stay on the water wagon even when he wants to. He often gets entirely out of hand when drinking. He admits this is true, but is positive that he will do better. He has begun to try, with or without your cooperation, various means of moderating or staying dry. Maybe he is beginning to lose his friends. His business may suffer somewhat. He is worried at times and is becoming aware that he can't drink like other people. He sometimes drinks in the morning and all through the day just to hold his nervousness in check. He is remorseful after serious drinking bouts and tells you that he wants to stop. But when he gets over the spree, he begins to think once more how he can drink moderately next time. Man, that was me. We think this person is in danger. These are the remarks of a real alcoholic. This person's in danger, right? 1 and 2, danger. Check number 3 out. This husband has gone much further than husband number 2. Though, like number 2, he often gets worse. His friends have slipped away. His home is near wreck. He cannot hold a position. Maybe the doctor has been called in and the weary round of sanitariums and hospitals has begun. He admits he cannot drink like other people, but does not see why. He clings to the notion that he will yet find a way to do so. Here's how. He may have come to the point where he desperately wants to stop, but he can't. Sound familiar? His case presents additional questions which we shall try to answer for you. Underline this sentence. You can be quite hopeful in a situation like this. What? He's way worse than number 1 and number 2, but you can be quite hopeful in a situation like this. The more hopeless, the better, right? Check it out, check it out, check it out. Number 4. Whew. You may have a husband to whom you is in complete despair. He has been placed in one institution after another. Sound familiar? Violent. He appears definitely insane when drunk or high. Sometimes he drinks and gets high on the way home from detox. Sometimes he drinks on the way home from detox or the hospital. Even ODing and dying, I get high on the way back. Just left from dying. Where's it at? Doctors, perhaps he has a delirium tremens. He's going through DTs. Doctors may shake their heads and advise you to have his ass committed. Hopeless, doomed is what the doctor would say. Maybe you have already been obliged to put him away. Check this out. Underline, highlight. Listen to his condition. Check it out. This picture may not be as dark as it looks. Many of our husbands and friends and wives were just as far gone. Yet I can put myself in this category. We all got well. That's unbelievable to me. The more hopeless, the better. So, we're on page 96, starting Saturday, man. God bless you guys, man. And those of you that watch throughout the week, it's amazing to be able to carry the message this way for the people back home, man, and during this COVID and this situation that we're in, man. And it's just been an honor and a blessing, man, to dedicate my time to doing this. So, God bless y'all. Good night, man. Have a good night.